First of all, most ad film directors do not work well as feature film directors simply because the narrative for a 1.5 2 hour film requires a completely different understanding of storytelling, of how to hold the narrative, and a certain pacing, which is very different from ad film. That means you have to say a message in 30
Hmm.
seconds and you have to get out.
So let's begin straight away. What is the role of an advertising director? What is it that the advertising agency expects from an advertising film director?
So first of all, advertising is all about selling a product. Let's
Mhm.
be clear about that. It's about selling a product. It's about increasing the sales or the visibility or the service or enhancing a specific brand. These are basically the functions of any advertiser, any client that is spending money is obviously wanting to achieve one of these objectives, if not all. The idea behind it is very simple that the client hires an agency, engages an agency, and the agency is the one which is the brand custodian. Of course, the client has a brand manager at their end, which sort of who has internalized the brand values and what the brand
Mhm.
stands for and this brand strategy. And then
Mhm.
subsequently, this is handed over to the agency. The pitch is handed over to the agency, which is most successful in understanding the brand and catering to it. The agency's job is not just to make films. The agency's job is to come up with what is called a marketing mix, which is out of which how much will be outdoor, how much of it will be OOH, how much of it will be BTL, how much of it will be ATL. So there are a lot of other marketing mix in the whole thing, yeah. And advertising films is a small part of it. Even in that, now there is a bifurcation. The bifurcation is it going to be a digital film, which is direct to digital, or is it going to be which is typically low cost on media spend? You don't have to spend for commercial time on television, and which is becoming more and more prominent and predominant right now because of the fact that more and more people are, consuming content online, and therefore they're seeing ad films online. And the other is, of course, the regular mainstream television, which is what many of them are doing.
Mhm.
So the idea of the once the agency has pitched the script to the client, and they will pitch over several months, they will pitch several scripts. The client, because there's a lot of money involved in typically in the media spend, the
Mhm.
agency will zero in on a one or two or three films that they may want to run as part of the campaign, and then subsequently a production house is selected. A production house, film production house job is to make the film,
Mhm.
and obviously selected on the basis of cost and on the basis of the director and the vision and the treatment note. So essentially, the director's job is to first pitch for the production house that they represent to secure the because it's a highly competitive space. So to secure the work, they have to pitch and they have to send a treatment note. And the treatment note, if the agency is okay with the treatment note and the client is okay with the showreel of the director and the treatment note, then the work is given um, um, to the director, and subsequently the production company puts together obviously the entire production, and the director's job is to execute. Of course, there are many stages for that as well. So there is something called the pre-production meeting. The pre-production meeting is essentially before you go into the shoot, because when you go into the shoot and you come up with something and the client says, "Oh, no, I didn't expect this," there's a lot of money at stake and there's lots at stake. So a pre-production meeting is when storyboards are presented, the entire shot breakdown is presented, the director's vision in detail is presented, costumes, locations, uh, art direction, all those disparate elements that go into the film. So the entire vision of the film is shown to the client much before the shoot.
Mhm.
And this is a three-way meeting between the agency, client, and the production house. Any changes, any inputs are given at that point, that from cast, whether it's about casting, whether it's about costumes, whether it's about shot breakdown, whether it is about, oh, I want to see my product more clearly, or I would like to see this more clear, or what is the quality of the graphics that you're going to use for the product window section, so on and so forth. So the idea is that after which the director's job is to of course shoot, and typically the agency is present in the shoot, and sometimes even the client is present in the shoot. So it is the director does not have perhaps the same freedom that you would have in a feature film or any other narrative, because you are working to a brief
Hmm.
and you're working to achieve a certain objective, and the agency, being the custodians of the brand, will be closely on the director's heels to question every single decision that is being made, including camera angles and other things as well. Typically, they don't interfere, but there are times that the agency will also ask questions, and the director has to be confident enough to respond to that and say, "This is the reason why I chose this angle, and this is the reason why I'm doing this action," so on and so forth.
So how does the approach of a film director change when he directs a feature film vis-a-vis an advertising film? Because here the story is to be told in about uh, 30 shots or 25 shots or whatever in 30 seconds, but it's the same
Right,
story which can be told in three
right,
hours also.
right,
So
right.
how does the approach change?
So first of all, most ad film directors do not work well as feature film directors, simply because the narrative for a 1.5 2 hour film requires a completely different understanding of storytelling, of how to hold the narrative, and a certain pacing, which is very different from ad film. That means you have to say a message in 30
Hmm.
seconds and you have to get out. You may
Hmm.
not have your the three act structure in it. You may have other three act structure, you may not have it, or it may simply be just one small inciting incident, and then you get into the the product and all that kind of stuff, and then you come up with a payoff. So there's a standard format. You have a you have a inciting incident, you have the actual event, you have the product window section, and then you have a comeback or a payoff, whatever you call it.
Hmm.
So this is very simple, typical format for an ad film. Now, in
Hmm.
feature films, also we cannot club everything together. For example, I find remakes. I find remakes more of a technical job, because the film is already done. All the director is doing replicating it. और वो नकल में भी अकल चाहिए. You know how we are as an industry. Even in that, we're not getting it right. If we're especially if we're copying a Hollywood film, we're not really getting the narrative right. We're just saying like, oh, might as well watch the original because it's far ahead. So our understanding of even cinema is poor, and so there's one section of that which is very in that space. But there are directors, many directors like Anurag Kashyap and Anubhav Sinha and many others who Vishal Bhardwaj and all these people, they are very original in their thinking, and they are coming up with great storytelling as well. In that, you are the author and you are the captain and you are the master. But primarily, if you ask me the difference is, in a short format, you do not need to know about storytelling and story structure all that much. You need to know about brand, you need to know about positioning, you need to know about marketing, you need to know about brand values, you need to know about house colors. So, for example, if I'm doing a film on Bank of Baroda, I will have elements of orange in the frame.
Hmm.
I will have somebody wearing an orange shirt or something, so that there is a brand association.
Hmm.
Because every single brand has a brand color, so that the house color, which is called, that house color needs to be peppered somewhere in the frame so that there's an association.